The 1960s counterculture actually started brewing in the 1940s, right after World War II ended. Veterans returning home faced a society that felt completely foreign to them, creating the first wave of social rebellion. The Beat Generation writers like Jack Kerouac began questioning traditional American values, laying groundwork for hippie philosophy. By the 1950s, suburban conformity pushed young people to seek authentic experiences through jazz, poetry, and alternative lifestyles. This underground movement exploded into mainstream consciousness during the 60s, proving that cultural revolutions don't happen overnight, but simmer for decades before changing everything. America's post-war boom created the richest generation in history, but accidentally sparked the biggest rebellion ever. Returning soldiers fueled an economic explosion that built suburbia and filled homes with televisions, cars, and countless gadgets. This prosperity created something unexpected, though, a generation of kids who had everything material but felt completely empty inside. The very comfort their parents fought to achieve became suffocating. Cookie-cutter neighborhoods and corporate conformity left young people desperately searching for something real. This material paradise became the perfect breeding ground for the counterculture movement that would completely reshape society. Post-war America secretly absorbed Eastern philosophy that completely rewired how an entire generation thought about freedom. After World War II, existentialism and Zen Buddhism didn't just stay in academic circles. They infiltrated mainstream culture through beat writers like Ginsberg and Kerouac. These philosophers taught Americans that questioning authority wasn't just okay, it was necessary for spiritual growth. The Beats turned this into raw poetry and prose that spoke directly to young people feeling trapped by conformity. What started as ancient Buddhist meditation practices became the foundation for modern American individualism. Literature became the bridge between Eastern wisdom and Western rebellion, creating a cultural shift that still influences how we think about personal freedom today. Sputnik's launch in 1957 didn't just start the space race, it accidentally created the counterculture movement. While governments celebrated technological supremacy, regular people felt terrified by nuclear threats and secretive institutions controlling their lives. This fear drove millions to seek authentic alternatives outside mainstream society. The same decade that put satellites in orbit also birthed hippie communes, organic farming movements, and anti-establishment philosophies. Technology, meant to inspire progress, instead inspired people to reject modern life entirely and return to simpler, more peaceful ways of living. Millions of young Americans completely abandoned everything their parents believed in during the 1960s. The horrors of Vietnam War footage broadcast directly into living rooms shattered trust in government lies. Civil rights movements exposed deep-rooted injustices that contradicted American ideals of equality. Traditional gender roles crumbled as women demanded workplace equality, and men grew their hair long. The cookie-cutter suburban dream of the 1950s suddenly felt like a prison. Young people rejected conformity, embraced counterculture, and created entirely new ways of living that prioritized personal freedom over social expectations. Nuclear war anxiety during the Cold War literally rewired an entire generation's brain chemistry. Kids in the 1950s and 60s practiced duck and cover drills daily, genuinely believing they might vaporize at any moment. This constant stress created a generation that questioned everything their government told them. When you grow up thinking the world could end tomorrow because of adult decisions, you naturally become skeptical of those same adults running the show. The persistent fear of annihilation didn't just shape foreign policy, it fundamentally altered how young people viewed authority and sparked the massive anti-war movements that defined the era. Most Americans don't realize the civil rights movement didn't just fight racism, it completely rewired how an entire generation thought about authority. When young people watched peaceful protesters get attacked by police on television, they saw their parents' generation defending a system that brutalized innocent people demanding basic rights. This wasn't just about racial equality anymore. It became about questioning every institution that claimed to represent justice and fairness. Martin Luther King Jr.'s success proved that organized resistance could actually change laws and society. This revelation was explosive for young minds, who suddenly realized they didn't have to accept the world as it was handed to them. The 1960s counterculture wasn't just about rebellion, it was born from World War II's psychological aftermath. Young people watched their parents build a consumer paradise while hiding atomic bomb fears and government lies. They saw prosperity built on conformity and war trauma nobody talked about. The disconnect was massive. While adults pushed suburban dreams and material success, youth craved authentic experiences and spiritual meaning. They rejected the silence around mental health, questioned blind patriotism, and demanded social justice their parents' generation ignored. This wasn't teenage angst. It was an entire generation recognizing their parents' coping mechanisms had created a hollow society worth transforming.
Like and subscribe for more, and let's uncover the timeless stories that shape who we are.